Hey everyone, welcome back. It's time for another workout of the day. Today is 4 rounds for time. It's called Shark and it consists of 20 weighted lunges, 20 sit-ups, 10 thrusters, 20 ab twists, 20 kettlebell swings, and 10 push-ups. So we're gonna go through all those movements and the modifications and then you can get started. All right, so the first movement is going to be our weighted lunges. So let's go over the lunge movement first. We want to make sure we're stay up nice and tall. We want to make sure that our core is engaged, especially when we put weight onto this. But we're going to step forward and we're going to come down into a 90-degree angle with our leg. And we're going to push off that front leg to come back up and switch and switch. So a modification for the weighted lunges would just be regular body weight lunges like that. So we can do weighted lunges in a few different ways. We can do it with a barbell if you have one. So you're gonna have to either take it off a rack or clean it off the floor, and you can either hold it in a front rack position. So when we're doing a front rack position, we want to make sure that our elbows are nice and high. We're really staying straight up with our chest, because if we start leaning forward, that's when things get ugly. So really kind of drive up with those elbows. Make sure that you're holding it on your shoulders, that you're not holding it there with your arms. And then you're just going to lunge forward. And again, you want to stay nice and upright during the whole movement. Now you can do a back rack position, which is going to be a little bit easier. And again, same thing. We just want to stay nice and straight upward and engaging that core as always. Okay. So if you don't have a barbell, that's good. I mean, it's okay. You can either do a front rack position with a dumbbell like so. You can do 2 dumbbells in a suitcase carry. Now for the suitcase carry, make sure that you're pulling your shoulders back and you're keeping them squeezed back and you're straight up. Don't let the weight pull your shoulders forward. And you can also use a kettlebell or a slam ball as well. So our banded options for this, we have 2. You can put the band around just above your knee and step forward like so. Or you can do 10 on each leg. So you're gonna kind of keep this leg back. You're gonna drive up with that arm and make sure it's completely straight up. You don't want to be bent, and then just lunge forward, and you're just gonna have to switch. You're gonna have to do 10 on each side. So that is our lunges. Next is our sit-up. We're gonna come down, touch those toes, really squeezing those abs that whole time. And modification would be to the knees. You can do crunches, but if you do crunches, make sure you're coming to your shins there. We want to avoid putting our hands behind our head, just to prevent that strain on our neck and back and all those muscles there. The next movement is going to be our thruster. So again, if you have, we'll go over with the barbell first, and then we'll do the modifications. So just keep in mind, before we lift up the barbell, you're gonna have to clean the barbell up onto your shoulders. Either that, or if you're using the barbell on a rack, you can take it off the rack. So the thruster is a front squat into an overhead press. So we want to use all the movements to help the next movement. What do I mean by that? So when we come down into the squat, we want our legs about hip width apart, our toes slightly pointed outward. And when we come into that squat, we want to make sure that we're staying very upright. So again, the same thing with that front rack lunge, how we really want to drive up with those elbows and stay straight. Same thing here. We want to make sure we're coming straight up and down. Don't let the weight pull you forward. So, and this is really important because we're going to use the leg drive upward to push the barbell overhead or whatever weight we're using. So we're going to come down into that squat, and again, our knees are coming outward, not forward, not in. Really think about pushing them out. This is going to keep our feet nice and flat on the ground, and we're going to not be rolling back and forth onto our toes, which is even more important when you have weight, especially in that front rack position. So come down with a nice flat foot, come down to about parallel or lower, really keeping that chest up as you come down. And as you come up, we want to use that momentum, that leg drive, to really push down into the ground and pop up. And as we pop up, the barbell or the weight of whatever you're using is going to naturally start to pop off those shoulders. That's why it's important. We want a straight up and down line so we can really take advantage of the leg drive upward. And as the barbell gets pressed upward, we're going to follow through with our arms and push all the way up until our arms are straight up and our head is going to come through at the top. So what I mean by that is we want to get our head out of the way from the barbell so we don't hit that chin, and we're going to push our neck back. And then when we come up, we want to push forward with our neck and come through where our ears are to our arms here. And again, we want straight arms at the top. And then as we come down, we're going to use that momentum. So we don't want to slam the barbell back onto our shoulders here. We want to guide it back down, and as we're guiding it back down, we're going to go ahead and get back down into that squat. So the barbell should be touching somewhere on the way down, and then you're going to drive up. Now, we want a nice, good rhythm. So we don't need to be, Speedy Gonzalez here. We just want a nice rhythm that we can keep that going and use the momentum from each movement. So this is what it's going to look like. We're going to get that barbell up onto our shoulders. And again, you shouldn't be holding it here with your hands. It should be resting on your shoulders. And we're going to come down into that squat, and we're going to push up overhead, come back down. And again, it's nice and smooth. So if you don't have your barbell, but you have dumbbells, we can do it either with one or two, whatever you fancy. So again, we're going to rest it on there. Same movement, same momentum, pushing up. And if you're doing one, just make sure you're switching halfway through, or you can do two. Come down, come up, same thing. And again, if you're using a band, just switch halfway through. Come down, come up, like so. And if nothing else, just do air squats, but make sure you're keeping that nice form, chest up, knees out, core tight. That is our thruster. The next movement is going to be our ab twist. So with our ab twist, the only thing we want on the ground is our butt. We want our legs up. We want to be in a nice V position. So we're going to go back and forth with that weight, making sure that we're staying close And we're really engaging that core. Modifications, no weight. And of course you can use other things like a plate. Also, you can use a band, and again, you're gonna have to do probably one side each time. So you're gonna sit on the band. You're gonna grab the band with two hands and pull from side to side. So 10 on each side with the band. The next movement is going to be our kettlebell swing. So going over the movement, we want to be about a little wider than hip width apart with our feet. We're going to come back with the kettlebell. So as we come back with the kettlebell, the outside of our wrist is going to touch the inside of our thigh, like so. We're going to keep a nice straight back this whole time. We're going to bring our hips back with a slight bend at the knee. We don't want to be squatting, so none of this. If we do that, a good way to tell is that we're going to hit our leg somewhere above the wrist, which is not what we want. So if we go down too far, we're going to hit above the wrist, or if we squat down, we're going to hit above the wrist. A great way is to videotape yourself to see what you're doing and if you're doing it correctly. And you can always reach out to me, and I can also critique as well. So we're going to come down and we're going to use that momentum to swing the kettlebell upward. We want to come to about eye height up here. The harder we move our hips, the harder hip thrust, the higher the kettlebell is going to go. We do not want to be trying to lift the kettlebell. That will be impossible, especially if you're using a heavier kettlebell. So this is what it looks like. It's all in the hips. And again, we want to make sure that our back is nice and straight. If we start doing some weird stuff, you're going to start feeling that strain in that lower back. If you start feeling strain on the lower back, again, videotape, see what you're doing. If you don't have a kettlebell, you can use a dumbbell, and it's the same movement. So modifications is just different weights. Last but not least, our push-up. So with our push-up, was that your cue to come over here? Oh, thanks. With the push-up, we want to make sure that our hand is below our shoulders. So we don't want to be too wide, we don't want to be too close in. The perfect way is just so it's stacked above, so your hand, arm, and everything can be in a straight line. So we're going to be in a nice, I'm going to face you first, but we're going to be in a nice plank position. We're going to come down, touch your chest to the ground, come back up, like so. Again, let me demonstrate sideways for you. We don't want to be touching our hips first. That means we're going to have saggy butt. We don't want that. We also don't want our butt sticking up in the air and doing like a pike push-up or some weird stuff. So modifications would be on your knees, same position with your arms, and come down into a straight line. Now, be careful that you're not back here doing some weird things or too far up or something weird. The more you do it like a regular push-up, the more effective it's going to be, and the more possibility you're going to make it to the actual push-up. So that is the workout of the day. Good luck. 4 rounds for time. Mark down your times and weights and revisit the workout. Good luck.